I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. I'm not going to grade you on a curve.
That's Laura Ingraham getting booed, talking about Donald Trump covering up the Epstein Files and saying they don't exist. Laura Ingraham, one of Donald Trump's top propagandists, she was speaking in Tampa at the Turning Points USA conference. You don't get much more MAGA than that. MAGA is out for blood. They are pissed off and feel betrayed by Donald Trump covering up the Epstein Files and the Epstein list. More on that in a bit. While that was going on in the State Department, Donald Trump and Marco Rubio fired about 1,300 career diplomats and staffers. They were walking out of the office today with their belongings in Washington, D.C., where they were getting a standing ovation from their fellow workers who were still there, or their old colleagues who were still there, giving them a standing ovation as Donald Trump and Marco Rubio rip our State Department to absolute shreds. Here, play this clip. Donald Trump's top pollster and close buddy, Rasmussen. You know how Donald Trump and MAGAs always talk about Rasmussen? Well, Trump is tanking in the Rasmussen poll. Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen says the following: the things that have happened in the last 2 weeks to Trump have been just as bad for Trump's polling as a 15% drop in the market. Rasmussen saying that Donald Trump covering up the Epstein list, the disastrous budget bill, Donald Trump going to war with Iran and then covering up that it wasn't as effective as he claimed it was, and more, has been absolutely devastating, and MAGA has been walking away from Donald Trump. And let's talk about fiscal responsibility and fiscal hawks. It ain't MAGA, folks. It doesn't always seem to be the case, because it is that every time there's a Democratic president, whether it's Clinton who was able to balance the budget, Obama who reduced the deficit, and same thing as Biden, cleaning up the mess. Remember, Donald Trump's first administration, he added $8 trillion, and that is responsible for like 25 to 30% of all debt in the United States. So why would we think it would be anything different right now? But right now, as Spencer Kimian points out, government spending in the first half of 2025 was 6.5% higher than in the first half of 2024 under Biden, and the deficit is now on pace to hit $2.7 trillion for just 2025. On a $30 trillion economy, that means we're running 9% deficits to GDP. Let's get back and talk about some additional new information regarding Donald Trump's cover-up of the Epstein Files. You know how the Trump regime also released a video that they purported to be was taken outside of the prison cell where Epstein died by suicide, which they said he definitely wasn't killed by anybody. Remember how that video was also missing a minute? Well, an analysis now done by some forensic analysts over at Wired and others say that the footage from Jeffrey Epstein's cell that was released by the DOJ was edited with Adobe Premiere Pro. It was stitched from 2 clips. It was saved 4 times per Wired. The metadata embedded in the video and analyzed by Wired and independent video forensic experts shows that rather than being a direct export from the prison surveillance system, the footage was altered. The footage was modified. Cover-up on top of cover-up on top of cover-up. Then the cover-up regarding the flash floods. We've been reporting on this since day one, where local officials claimed they didn't get the notices from the feds. The feds said they gave the notices. We knew about those 6 critical vacancies in the Kerr County region of personnel who worked at the National Weather Service, including the main meteorologist coordinator whose job would have been to coordinate with local officials, a 32-year veteran at the NWS who was pushed out by a Doge a few months back. So we knew that. We also knew that Christy Noem did not authorize the urban search and rescue teams for more than 72 hours after the flash floods. She put this requirement that if the cost of any expenditure was over $100,000, it required her personal sign-off, and the FEMA folks were ready with the urban search and rescue teams, and they could not get her to sign off on it. Also, why was this camp even built in the flood pathway zone? It should not have been built there at all. all. Also, we've learned that former President Biden gave the money to Kerrville and to Kerr County back in 2021, a $5 to $10 million grant to build alarm systems. The city and the county basically stole it. They took it for themselves. They did not buy the alarm systems. Instead, they gave themselves raises and bonuses because they said the money was woke, and they can't take woke communist money. Well, we're also learning, by the way, where is the head of FEMA right now? Just nowhere to be found, was not at that Donald Trump disastrous event, hasn't made any statements, hasn't been seen in public, the head of FEMA, during a situation like that. But we also learned FEMA didn't answer thousands of calls from flood survivors. Documents show about 2/3 of the calls from Texans to FEMA went unanswered. Why? Because FEMA did not renew its contract with the company that does all of the phone calls and all of the answering of services in July. So 2/3 of the phone calls were not answered by FEMA. That's called government inefficiency. But, for Donald Trump, this is all funny. All one big joke. He posts memes of himself as Superman, the symbol of hope, the truth, justice, the American way, from the official White House account, or you have on the official White House Instagram account. This photo, this is real from the White House, an official presidential account. OMG, did the White House really post this? Nowhere in the Constitution does it say we can't post banger memes with like the explosion emoji. Guys, there are real serious issues to deal with right now, right? In addition to the cover-up of the Epstein Files, where now the FBI director Kash Patel allegedly is going to be quitting or wants to quit soon. If Pam Bondi doesn't leave, there's some reporting on that. Also, Dan Bongino definitely wants to quit and definitely wants to leave. He's the deputy FBI director. He says that Pam Bondi doesn't leave, he's going to leave. But there is serious news to report. So why are you posting Superman memes? I mean, grow up. Be like an adult. The Washington Post, Carol Lenning, hat tip to her, reports the following. Kerr County, where 100 people died and 160 remain missing, had the technology to turn every local cell phone into a blaring alarm, but officials did not do so before doing the rapidly rising river levels that overtook the campsites and homes. At every level, there was government breakdown. Local, county, state, federal. But Donald Trump went to Kerr County on Friday and said it was great. This was the most amazing thing, and it is evil. Parents who lost their kids, if your kids died, and you are questioning the response of what the federal government did, you are evil and you are a bad person, Donald Trump said. I'll show you that clip in just a bit. I did a video on it yesterday as well. Also, the bubonic plague is back. Not only is there the largest measles outbreak in recent history, which, by the way, also started in West Texas, we've got the bubonic plague back, everybody. The first plague death in the U.S. since 2007 is back. As Angry Staffer says, at least we have a super reliable public health team in place. A person in northern Arizona has died from a case of the bubonic plague, local health officials say. Also, to our veterans out there, the Navy Federal Credit Union will no longer have to refund $80 million to servicemen and servicewomen for illegally charging them overdraft fees on their account. The Trump-led Consumer Financial Protection Bureau moved to dismiss this and many other cases involving consumer fraud. Yet another example of Donald Trump giving the middle finger not just to consumers but to our veterans, who he's previously called suckers and losers. A new Gallup poll came out on Friday, which says that on the issue of immigration, you have Donald Trump's approval at 35%. 62% of Americans disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of immigration. On the overall American perspective and views on immigration, 79% of Americans view immigration in general as a good thing, as a positive thing. 78% of Americans support a pathway to citizenship. We've always said that here. Look, I don't want to see criminals in the United States. I want to see a strong border, but stop conflating criminals with the hard-working migrants who are the vast majority of people here living the American dream, paying taxes, contributing to our country, and just want a pathway to citizenship that under Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, they're throwing into concentration camps, sending to foreign concentration interrogation camps and torturing them. Let's go and show you what went down on Friday as well, where you had Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and Jack Posobiec were hosting this event in the lead up to the Turning Points conference. Charlie Kirk speaks to the audience of young people and says, how many of you think this Epstein thing is a big deal? Here, watch this.
So what's it going to be, Charlie Kirk?
Can we pan to the audience? I'm curious. How many of you, raise your hand, think this is a big deal, the Epstein thing? Would you raise your hand? So, I mean, every hand has gone up.
Now take a look at how one of the guests feels about this, quote, Epstein thing.
Do you believe that DOJ and FBI right now, with the guys who are all close to Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, do you think they have any credibility left to pursue this?
No, and I'll tell you exactly why, Steve, because in 2016, we trusted the plan with Trump. But now Trump has become the deep state. The exact thing we voted him in.
Why do you say he's become the deep state?
What is more deep state than covering up for pedophiles? Why would you go to that island? Why? Tell me, why would you go to that island? Why would you go on the plane?
How many of you are satisfied? You can clap. Satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation? Clap. Okay, I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. I'm not going to grade you on a curve. So I was going to get to that. How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
Here we have on Charlie Kirk right here speaking to Megyn Kelly, and here's what she has to say about Pam Bondi. Let's play it.
So, but Megyn, you make a very astute point, and let me add to it, which is that she also brought in some of our best influencers, people that I care about deeply. Jack Posobiec, who's incredible. Libs of TikTok, Chaya, DC Drano.
Yeah.
And she gave them these binders, and she humiliated them.
Yeah.
And you guys know what I'm talking about? Where she did this stuff with the binders? This? And yes. You guys were upset, and you shouldn't be upset, the influencers. They were handed these binders like there was something incredible in them.
It is what you would do to an enemy. No, we all have busy lives, and President Trump has a busy life, and I don't think he realizes how much she's humiliated the administration. This is a self-inflicted wound. She caused it. Again, I have nothing against Pam Bondi, but if you want to look for the villain in this story, we have found her. She is the person she's either lying now or she was lying then. There's no two ways about it.
And of course they need their distraction. So here, one of the MAGA influencers starts to say, hey, JoJo Siwa is no longer a lesbian or something. Okay, let's get serious, folks. What are these MAGA idiots talking about? Here, play this clip.
Speaking of the LGBT, it is not just the T that is fading from the public square. After decades of nonstop lavender propaganda, pride parades are getting canceled for lack of attendance, lack of interest. JoJo Siwa is no longer a lesbian. Nature is healing. That's great.
JP Morgan's out as well right now with a new report. The JP Morgan report says, we assume that immigration would grind to a halt, but that outright deportations would not pose a material threat. This view is being challenged. The drag on employment would amount to a $117,000 per month. This quarter, this then steps up to a monthly loss of 150,000 jobs lost in the fourth quarter of 2025. So folks, that's just the data right there. And let me just share this with you as well. Donald Trump, as I mentioned at the outset of the video, when he was asked about the families who were upset at the response, just watch his answer right here.
Is the press going to be respectful of this event, this horrible tragedy? Please, yes, go ahead, please.
Marissa Admas here with CBS News Texas. Several families we've heard from are obviously upset because they say that those warnings, those alerts didn't go out in time, and they also say that people could have been saved. What do you say to those families?
Well, I think everyone did an incredible job under the circumstances. This was, I guess Christy said, a 1 in 500, 1 in 1,000 years. And I just have admiration for the job that everybody did. There was just admiration. Only a bad person would ask a question like that, to be honest with you. I don't know who you are, but only a very evil person would ask a question like that. I think this has been heroism. This has been incredible, really, the job you've all done. It's easy to sit back and say, oh, what could have happened here or there, maybe we could have done something differently. This was a thing that has never happened before, and nobody's ever seen anything. I've never seen anything like this. I've gone to some real bad ones. I've never seen anything like this. So I admire you, and I consider you heroes and heroine, and I think you've done an amazing job.
Yeah, real horrific stuff. We'll keep you posted every step of the way, folks.